sorry everyone. It's me. I actually got booted. Hi, Tamara.
Hello.
I had to find a few things out. Oh, and it looks like my green screen's a little funny. I refreshed, and this is why I refreshed. I was so excited to have Teacher Tamara on. I wanted to share with everybody her blog and some of the information that she had. So I was excited and I ended up doing something or pushing a button and it cleared everything and I got booted. So,
Oh,
but that's okay. How are you doing today, Tamara?
I'm doing well. Thanks. Thank you for having me. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good. I'm really excited to talk to you. We're on with Lead from Home, Victoria here, and ETeacher Tamara, and we're going to talk about her blog and just a few things. As our description says, she is one of the people that I really enjoy talking to because she has this knack for math, and I am not a numbers person. I am finding out that there are so many people out there that just get it and want to share this gift. So if you're one of those people, she's got some tips for us, and she's going to show us or tell us a little bit about how to get connected. All right. How about sharing a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Tamara, and I actually started my career, I guess, as a flight attendant, and I worked at the airport. I loved the aviation industry. I thought it was so much fun. So I worked there during college, and I ended up wanting to stay. I became a flight attendant. I was just fascinated with people and culture and all of that. And then my husband's a pilot, and he lost his job after 9/11, and so we ended up moving, and it was just too difficult to still fly. We had a toddler, and I
Oh,
just wasn't feeling it. So I quit to raise. We had another baby after we moved, and he lost his contract with that airline. They decided not to renew any of the contract people, and then I thought, it's time to focus on getting a career of some sort, and teaching just seemed like something that I would really enjoy doing, that I could do with two children. And
yeah.
so I ended up, I got my master's in teaching in education. Yes. And I've ultimately wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I found VIP Kid, and it's been wonderful. But
Was VIP Kid the program that got like kind of started it all? Because you're not just with VIP Kid, you are with
no,
Splash Learn
learn
and
house school,
Outschool, and
Steamer
there's
English. Yeah.
yes.
Well, I will say that so I taught for a couple of years, mostly substitute taught, but then I taught a little bit before, and and I but I just, yeah, a VIP Kid started it. I did that. I started in 2017, I guess, mid 2017, and then they had the referral program,
Oh yes.
and people could get a ton of money. And I remember when they rolled it out, and I thought, oh, I'm going to do that. So I posted a few ads on Craigslist, and I posted on Facebook, and I got nothing. I got a lot of clicks. I got a ton of clicks. I think I have like 150 people in my
Wow.
referral list, but I didn't know what to do with them, and none of them seemed to be go-getters. And so I think out of those 150, I had one person actually go through the process all the way. But and so when Nancy started her course, I thought, I just want to see what she does. I mean, how is she
Right.
so successful? I feel like I found it through an ad or just a little link,
Right. By
and I
chance.
couldn't figure
How
it
did
out. Yeah. Right. What
yeah,
did she
what's the
do?
secret sauce?
What's the secret sauce? Exactly. So I joined her course, her BTO course, and that's where I met all of my new friends. And because it's a recruiting course, people were recruiting there. And I think,
Right.
once you start working for multiple companies, more people find you as well.
Yes.
So I started getting a little bit more on LinkedIn prior to the
Hmm.
BTO course, actually. I started trying to gain a little more traction on LinkedIn. I wanted to do something a little more than VIP Kid. I wasn't sure what
Right.
yet, but I just knew there was something else that I wanted to do. And and so LinkedIn, yeah, as you start adding platforms, and you engage with then companies will certainly find you. And so, but yeah, with math, I've always been really good with math. Um, and I ended up having, unfortunately or fortunately, I had to repeat algebra 1. I did it in 8th grade in middle school, and then I had to do it again in high school, just the way
Right.
to get the high school credit, just the way it happened. And that was a fortunate thing because then I really dove in and I thought, I could totally do this. So I got my associates in math. And I just yeah, it's always been something I really enjoyed. And then one of the companies that found me was Splash Learn, which is a math tutoring program. And yeah, it's been wonderful. And the
I
feedback and everything.
I'm going to put your blog, eteachertamara.com, and they
Yeah.
can that will take them to it will show the
Website,
different companies that you come to that you are
right.
part of, and gives a little bit of your history, your background, and some more information about the referral links that they're interested. I'm going
Right.
to put that in the chat box. Just yes, good. That
So
way
I will
people can go.
Right. I will say I had a little issue with my website for some reason, so I'm
Oh,
having somebody work on it. So the blog isn't
good.
completely up to date, but it's going to be very soon. um,
Yes, I saw
but
that there
yeah,
was a post from 11:3.
possibly. Yeah,
11:3. Okay.
yeah, that could be. I don't know, but yes,
Yes.
it's but
Oh,
it
that's
has been a little
great.
while. Yeah,
Good.
but I do. I love it. And I with Nancy's course, we're all taking this course how to design courses, and I really want to focus on tutoring and helping people become
Good.
tutors, especially with math, but English language arts as well. Tutoring is just so important right now, especially
It
with COVID.
is.
And it's not somewhere thing like I know Outschool scares a lot of people because you have to do your own curriculum. But tutoring is more just helping and helping the child gain confidence and understand that they actually can do it. you know?
Yes. What would you say is, and this is I mean, this is just something that I was thinking about, is what is the difference between teaching the skill and tutoring the skill? Uh,
There is a fine line, but
mhm.
tutoring the skill, the students should have already been exposed. They should have already learned in the classroom. They may not understand it, so you might have to
Right.
reteach while you're tutoring, but they should already know the skill. And
So that
because
makes it more like a guided practice where
exactly,
you're just kind of helping prompt and finding out what works to help them get to that next step. Oh, yes, that
precisely,
moment. Yes.
precisely, yes.
Oh,
And
that's
tutoring is
great.
great because you get more of those aha moments.
Oh, yes, I love it. I
Yeah.
did not receive tutoring, but I did work so hard in my math classes growing up, and
Uh-huh.
fortunate for me, I didn't have math at like I chose a path that did not have math. So it was just one of those things. And when I heard that you were so interested in math and the tutoring, and that you were part of this splash learn community, I was just
Right,
really, oh, that's so wonderful. Because I remember some of my experiences as an early, when I was an early learner,
right.
and being on that other side and knowing how important it was for those aha moments. They boost
Yeah,
your confidence, they help you get to the next step. And sometimes you can come to a stop if that if those deficits or those you know
Right.
processing, understanding the skill aren't happening. So I really, I am such an advocate for what
Oh,
your mission is.
thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and
And the
having
other thing is that, math is taught differently now. I mean, you have to teach using so many strategies, so many extra steps. They're really trying to break it down so kids understand exactly what is going on. And a lot of parents really struggle. They don't understand, what in the
it,
world.
it sounds like you're referring to Common Core.
Common Core, absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Common Core math has been a challenge for a lot of parents, and,
Now,
so
I'll share a little bit. I know I share all the time, right? It's no big deal.
I love it, I love it.
But there's a population out there that I think is maybe sometimes overlooked. Sometimes the military child.
Mhm,
I can tell you that my son moved to three different school districts, very close together.
yeah,
1 year he learned Common Core, then went back to the what I would consider the math processes that I grew up with, and then returned to Common Core. So he
mm,
went back and forth because they were there were three different states, three different
okay.
schools, and so it was a challenge. The I was lucky. I was so lucky. My son picked it up like this, and the
Good,
idea, yes, he was such a flexible learner, and I was in awe of it because even though all these emails and all the parent meetings and a lot
yeah,
of classes were offered, I kind of distanced myself because, hey, I don't have a problem. I'm okay. but
right, right,
I think about it, and I know that there are a lot of students that possibly go from one curriculum to the other.
right,
However, I'm seeing a little bit more that there are resources out there to help support the learner.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
The resources are great. There's very few states that do not still do Common Core or some form
right,
of it. Um, but and to be honest, I'm actually an advocate of Common Core. I like that they are trying to teach in various ways so that you do understand what's going on. The problem is they don't teach each strategy long enough. There's not enough time to really dive in and understand each strategy to pick the one that works for you, which is
right.
why another reason why tutoring is so important and is so helpful right now because the kids can come in and then understand what exactly they're supposed to be learning.
Right. I saw
Yeah,
Common Core, and from a visual perspective, it's more like the way that the numbers are. Because remember, I'm one of those that tunes the numbers out. They don't
right.
represent numbers. They represent things or pictures or something like that. So when I see the groupings, I see patterns.
Hmm.
So that made sense to me. And when I saw the Common Core kind of mapped out, that's what I saw, was a map. It was a process,
Right.
and it was showing, even because I knew already the process like you talked about, I
Hmm.
was able to kind of follow along in that way, and then I could make sense of the numbers if I was, probably coached a little bit more. But I can
Right.
see how it kind of tells a story, and it showed different ways. It really did show different ways to get the
Yes.
same solution, and it
Precisely.
made sense. Yes. So
Yeah.
to me, it was like a little bit of a story, and I'd probably have to, do a little bit more, use the terms for math people, but I don't. I use visual, and that's just, and
But
words.
yeah, and you know what? That's why it works, is because some
It
people
does.
do. I mean, I have a little girl that does phenomenal with word problems because she
Oh,
can
yes.
comprehend. She has great reading comprehension skills. But as far as solving, a subtraction problem, it's like, oh,
Right.
how do I regroup or how do I do any of
Right.
this? And so that's the whole point of Common Core, is to try to teach everyone, teach every child, no child left behind, I guess. I don't
Right.
know, but it's not really part of that, but it is part
It
of
is
the whole,
it's finding what works for the
finding
student,
what
for the
works.
learner, and
Right,
helping them get to the next step. So
right.
that sounds like a really great philosophy that you have for your tutoring campaign, and
Yeah,
finding that finding out what works. I really think that's awesome. Now,
Yay.
yay, right. I know you've got a cheerleader over here.
I love
Now,
it.
yes. Now, did you always know you had an affinity for numbers, or was this something that you kind of grew into?
I always knew that I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I it was like a puzzle, but I thought kind of everybody did. I didn't really
Yeah.
realize that people did struggle. But again, that eighth to ninth grade when I had to do algebra one
Oh,
again, is really when I really did fall in love with math, and I knew that there was
oh,
something I wanted to do something with it. I wasn't sure what. I come from a whole family of teachers. There's a lot like, my and so I did not want to be a teacher, but I didn't know what else to be, I had no idea what else there is. And so I fought it. I ended up majoring in I was going to major in economics, and then I ended up majoring in sociology for my bachelor's. I just fell in love with people and like culture mostly.
right.
And so I ended up majoring in sociology, but what are you going to do with a sociology degree? So after fighting my anti-teaching, thing, I decided once it was time to go back to school to get a real job, I decided teaching definitely is something that I would enjoy, and I really do.
Oh.
I love it. I really love it.
That's awesome. I feel like it was the same for me a bit. I was very apprehensive about teaching. I didn't know the first thing about teaching.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yes, I substituted. Yes, I was in the classrooms. Yes, my internships were in the classrooms in some sort, and I
Yeah.
I did enjoy. I had several opportunities where I had internships that were pretty long, and I was able to have a leadership role, not necessarily develop the curriculum, but modify it for the learners and the audience, the age group, you name it, so that
Right.
it appealed to me and the learner. It was just
Uh-huh.
one of those things. I was lucky to
Right.
do that. And
Yeah.
I didn't stay with it because, again, I was more interested in behavior, in relationships with people. Why does this relationship work for one? Why were they able to do? So that's where my path went, and I used the skills that I learned from that to help me become an effective teacher. And it was I noticed after started the process for the TEFL, more so than the TESOL. There's a slight difference in the concepts and what you learn in each.
Right.
But when I was learning the TEFL, it was more of a okay, aha. I was actually able to make those connections early, which made me successful in the classroom. Is there any tips? I don't want to get too far away, but are there any tips for like new teachers that you have that are teaching math or tutoring math, that we could do? What kinds of signs should we look for in our learners that, hey, it's time to take a break?
Right. Well, I think the first thing is instilling confidence. Don't
Mm.
be afraid to go back to the basics. I mean, what is multiplication? It's just repeated addition, right? It's not, you don't have to start just learning, I mean, if you don't know your facts yet, it's not, they should learn their facts, obviously, but maybe you could teach them repeated addition, and that's how you get, you know, 3 times 2 is 2 plus 2 plus 2, it's
Right.
that type of thing. And I think once they realize, I really can do this, that's when you start really seeing a spike in ability, and they
Absolutely.
they go from this mind block to a mindset, where they can
That's
gain the
a
confidence needed. And I've seen it quite a few times, just going back to the basics and relearning things,
I
um,
like that.
so
It's going back. We do that also in ESL with ESL learners when we see that they've kind of come to a pause and they're learning, or we can see that their processing time is a bit longer than normal, or
right,
it has been in the past. So we kind of go back to something that will boost their confidence, something that they excelled in, something they enjoyed.
precisely.
That sounds like it. I mean, I never considered it with math.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it makes complete sense. I know, I
right.
believe it.
And
And
the
I
other
especially like it when they have candy involved. So if
ah,
you have candy,
Candy's awesome. Who doesn't like candy? But, and yes, so go back to the basics, get some confidence, but also discover their learning style. I
Oh
mean,
God.
math, there are so many manipulatives out there. If you have a kinesthetic learner, there's, you just by verbally saying the steps, you can please the auditory learner and then the visual learner, of course, just showing them how to do it. But math is very, yeah, math is very adaptable to the various, what the child needs. And that's another, you really need to find out, how does the child learn best? And then what can I do to teach them in a manner that they can understand? So
Good.
those are,
I did
for
have some questions about your referral places. I like the tips too. Let me go back and recap for people who are out there listening or that are going to listen again. Okay,
sure.
so we go back to build confidence with past or previously learned information, and definitely our target should be to boost confidence and find out what works for the learner,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
then just yes, and be the cheerleader along the
Be the
way
cheerleader.
for those
Yes.
aha moments. I love it.
Right,
And then
right. And I
so
also, I mean, I with tutoring, you just kind of, you're more of a guide again than a teacher. So I like to
okay.
have my parents fill out a little form, just asking them, what is it, why do you feel like your child needs a tutor, and what is it you want to gain from it? And a lot of times that gives you more direction of how to. You could ask those questions. What type of learner is your child? What do you what do they need to work on?
Yeah.
Do you just need homework help, or do you need other help? So it helps.
So, Tamra, would if there is a person out there that is interested in providing this kind of support and learning what the learning styles for their students, are they able to come to you and kind of ask questions for that?
You will. You will.
Ah!
You can come to me anytime and ask questions. I am doing, like I said, I'm doing the same course as Victoria, the Amy Porterfield DCA course, and I am quite behind in that, but I will eventually be be caught up.
Oh, Tamra, I think I lost you. Oh man, and we're getting some really good stuff. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Is it me then? Let me check. Hello. Okay. Can I hear? Oh, Tamra. Oh, I don't hear you. I wonder if everybody else can. I kind of hear like a little muffle.
Just about hello.
There it is. Yes.
Weird.
Did you accidentally hit the mute
I
button?
think I
I
did.
do that in class all the time, and they're like, I can't hear you.
Oh
Oh, I'm
my goodness.
sorry.
Okay, I'm back. It didn't say
Oh,
mute, but I've hit my headphone mute button. Sorry. But
that's
yeah,
okay. I do it all the time.
but yes, I am going to be doing a course on tutoring because I think people would like to dive in and start working for themselves. A lot of people really don't
Yes.
want to do their own curriculum. I know Outschool throws a lot of people off, but I'm hopeful that by tutoring, it's kind of a middle of the road. It's not like ESL companies or even Splash Learn that provides all the curriculum. It's getting out there and just helping people.
Yes. Where do you spend most of your time in the four different platforms? Where do you feel most at home?
Um, I do. I really, well, that's a tough one. And you know what?
It
That's the beauty
is.
of working for so many different platforms because, like, Outschool, for example, I found most success just in the one-time class. I did a
Mhm.
couple of camps, but you do those classes, and then I don't really see those kids again. And then Splash Learn has their classes are, most of the classes that I do are between 30 and 40 sessions.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. So it's summer, Monday through Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it is. But I see those kids for a couple of months, 2.5, 3 months.
So are you teaching them kind of basically the equivalent of units or whole concepts through
Right.
say, for example?
Yeah. So those classes that I mostly teach, those 30 to 40-day classes,
Mhm.
they're by grade level. And the
Okay.
kids basically touch on all the standards, Common Core standards for that grade level. So if a child and they don't look to make sure that you're in that grade. So if you're in, say, first grade, but you're excelling in math, you could easily take a third grade, fourth grade math class if you choose to. But if you're
Oh, I
struggling
see.
with something, you can go back to the basics. Like if you're in fifth grade and really struggle with math, don't be afraid to take a third grade class just to get back into it. And
I absolutely
but
agree. I think that
yeah,
it is critical. I know that, sometimes it's only one thing, and in order to be successful later on in advanced learning, you might want to make sure that the multiplication
right.
facts are just on point, because
Yes,
honestly, you can do a lot of the processes in your head by knowing the standards, the basics, or the square
precisely.
roots to a certain number or a certain degree. So
Yep. And
yeah,
math builds on it itself.
yes, it does.
So if you miss, if there's a year that you get behind, then it's hard to catch up. It really is.
It is. And you hit it really. I think you made the most solid point about everything, is that it comes to confidence. When the learner is not
Yeah,
open, if they're not confident, they
right,
aren't open to success. They don't believe it's possible. So when we plant those
exactly.
seeds and show them little by little, then I think that it helps to develop the stronger learner.
Right, right,
And
right.
yeah, even in us as adults, we've got to feel confident so that we can later become competent adults,
Mhm.
when we
It's
learn how to do things.
it's
And
so true. And that's another
yeah.
part of the confidence equation is that if your parent is not confident in math,
Mm,
then you just feel like it's acceptable to not be confident yourself, or
right.
I never learned it, and I don't know. It just it's that you kind of
Right. And I agree. I agree. I know that because I'm aware of this, and because of my experience with behavioral health, really, I'm so akin or in tuned to my biases, that I know where to stop and how to
right.
phrase, if I get that gut feeling. And so I do a gut check, and I'm like, oh man, all right, so let's do this. Get ready for a math problem. And
Mhm.
what I do for my son, and this, maybe you can tell me if I did this wrong or something. If he has a challenge in math, then I know that he's worked on it. He's done everything he could to puzzle it out himself, and
Yep.
that his last resort is asking me. So what I do is say, what did you do first? What was
Mhm.
your understanding of the problem? What were they asking? And so
Right.
I break it down that way, because that's what makes sense to me. And then I follow him through the process. And then if he gets the right answer, I'm not necessarily doing the math problem, and
Yeah.
we won't know until it's right together. And I
Right.
think that kind of helps me meet where he's at.
For
So
sure. And that's
yeah.
one of the things, like they really say with math, especially if you end up teaching it, you may not
Right.
think you know how to do it, but then you walk it through and you teach someone else, then a lot of times, more times than not, you end up understanding it better.
I love
you
it.
know,
I love it. Yes.
so
And it's true. And I like the idea of that. I know that I may be a little averse to it, but it's not, I'm not, I don't know, opposed to it. I know that it's an essential part of our day-to-day lives. I mean, we use it in everything that we do.
Mhm.
I just choose not to acknowledge it.
That's
But I
funny.
know it's there. I have an awareness. I just translate it in a way that makes sense to me. So,
Yeah.
automatic stuff so that I feel comfortable, like conversions in recipes when you cook and
Right.
things like that. It just makes sense. I love it. You're
Yeah,
ma-
it
you're
helps.
you're helping me get better with math.
Yay! And it definitely helps that you're not afraid of it, because there are a lot of
Yes.
parents that are afraid of it, and
Yeah.
I don't know,
No, I'm not afraid. I'm okay with it. My husband is actually really great with numbers. Absolutely phenomenal. He's the magic man with numbers. So we know our strong suits, and he has his MBA in business. He does the number stuff, and I'm not that person.
Yeah.
If it's a paper, if it's even for him, I do those edits. If it's a paper or something like that, then it's run through me, and
Yeah,
I'm okay. Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. If you need
That's
me to
funny.
draw something, I'll draw a little
Ah,
something.
yes, you are so talented. And if you need me to draw something, forget it. It'll be a stick
Oh,
figure.
oh,
I'm
I love
so
it. I
bad.
love it. I am learning. I
Oh, I am
I told Casey the other day that I was learning, and I don't think people realize that this was joining VIP Kid has opened up so much. And I don't think that it's just VIP Kid. I think it's the idea of um, challenging myself to make those connections with students. You have to do so much to
right,
really match them. So sometimes it's drawing, sometimes it's
yeah,
seeing a different way to do a math problem. I have learners that do math in a different process, but they get it correct. Or I
right,
can say, oh, let's try it this way, and then it triggers something. So
uh-huh,
but teaching is definitely one of those where it pulls your creativity, it pulls
right.
your past knowledge forward. And I think that was a great thing. That's why when you talk about those 4 different places, I'm like, where do you feel most
Well,
comfortable?
and that's the thing, I was starting to say it before I pressed mute by accident, but, but like I was saying, the out school is like one day. The math is like, 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. Now
Right.
hopefully they'll sign up for another class, but it's not an easy transition to another long-term
Hmm.
class. And so, so you really you connect with the students, but then you're kind of done with them when you say goodbye eventually, but
Right.
VIP Kid and Zebra English, the ESL companies, I mean, I've been with some of these students since I started in
Is that
summer
3 years?
2017. Almost, yeah, 3 years, 3.5 years. And
Wow.
yeah, and we've grown together. I mean, I've seen these kids grow, 6 years old to 9 years old. And it's a great transformation. But on the flip side, it's like, how do I keep them engaged and entertained over all
Right.
these years that we've been together? So each company brings something special, and I'm thankful I have them. And actually, Nancy's course, I recruited quite a bit for Splash Learns. They are on a hiring freeze, unfortunately.
Oh,
But I did recruit for them quite a bit. So the recruiting did come in handy. But her course again enabled me to we got a community out of it, and I did start working for a few more platforms as a result of of her course. But it's great. I love that it her course isn't, even though it was geared toward recruiting, it ended up being much more than that.
oh yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
That it's I went in there with to find out that magic sauce, what is it? What helps you get that extra income? What did you
Right.
do? How can I be more help or be more helpful? That's a yes. How can I help others to enjoy what I do? Because
Right.
I really did. I think that by finding I had a similar story that helped me get connected to online teaching. I was in a place where I wanted to regain my financial independence. I came from an awesome work family, absolutely awesome.
Aw.
But because of the constant moves, I knew that I had to say goodbye and start something in the meantime, and something that wasn't going to take me so far, like have so much of a financial gap. And working from home honestly has great benefits. I'm cooking more, we're saving money on fast food,
Right.
I'm able to exercise and really I have my schedule where I want it, and to have that time with my son. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that being
Priceless.
Yes, helping. Are you homeschooling your children?
No, no. I have teenagers. They're 13 and
Oh,
15. I never homeschooled them, but they are home 3 days a week now. And
right.
they go to school 2 days a week.
That will be my son next semester.
Yeah,
And I didn't try homeschooling. I just, he's got his curriculum and he's doing that. But it's
that's
definitely different. And I like the flexibility that VIP Kid and it sounds like the other platforms provide.
yeah.
They're great opportunities to keep that and help sustain our finance and keep our freedom the way we
So
want it, our
yeah.
flexibility. Yeah.
And I wanted
So
something, I was getting tired because, you take your kids to soccer, well, I do, but you take them to their extracurricular activities at night. You can't go to bed too early. So then when are
right.
you going to start teaching the ESL companies? So it was a nice transition to start, like I still do VIP Kid, of course, with my regular students, but it was nice to be able to transition a little more during the day. And then because
Right.
I'm teaching more, I'm making more. So I really feel like I'm contributing now.
Yes.
Whereas when I only did VIP Kid, I was contributing, but not nearly what
Right.
I
And
wanted to.
And you made a really good point. So if anybody's looking into recruiting, there is opportunities for passive income with recruiting, and that was one of the things that drew both Tamara and myself initially to the BTO courses. Now, I'm sure, once you get in, anybody that's interested in the BTO, whether it's this cohort or another cohort in the future, the one thing you will know is that you are going to discover more things about yourself, more things about your audience, and than you ever thought possible. And the biggest thing is being a part of a community that is supportive. So if you go this route, that is what you're going to find is wherever your path may lead, you're supposed to be there and the community will support you get to your next step. So
You're right. And
yeah,
community is so important with online teaching. I mean,
it is.
you can feel very lonely if you don't be careful, if you don't watch yourself.
Yes.
But if you do try to put yourself out there, I mean, I'm a total introvert person. I've always been pretty shy, but this community has just been a lifesaver. And yeah,
Yes, you can't just stay put. Let's go.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yes. So
Right.
Tara, any final thoughts? I put eteachertamara.com. That would be a great way for them to get connected to you. And find out a little bit about each company that she mentioned in here.
Right.
What would you like to share about your overall experience with starting this journey?
If you do want to become a tutor, I will be having a course eventually, but
Good.
but I say just get out there, post on social media, little tips and tricks. I mean, math, especially if you choose the math route, you could just show a little trick. It just has to be a couple of minutes, and that can get your business growing for sure. And
Good.
and then once your business starts growing, you'll find that you can cater to more students, you can cater to more people, and you could do pretty well financially. And with tutoring, you have that same student over and over again. So it's not like OutSchool or even Splash Learn where they finish the course and they drop off. You can build a lifelong relationship with these kids. So it's
So
wonderful.
anybody that has an interest in tutoring and wants to know more, especially to know when your course is available, they can at least right now get connected with you via email. If you go to that link, you're going to be able to put in your email and find out more. Teacher Tamara, follow her so that you can see the tips in
Yeah.
vivo, right? In vivo, live action,
Right.
so that you can see how it's done, so that you can develop and become successful as well. We all want that flexible lifestyle. We want to be connected at home, have those freedoms, and be able to also provide a service to others and provide financial security for our families.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
this is one way to keep your passion, turn it into a profit. Passion to profit, right?
Passion to profit. Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, Lead from Home fans. It was nice to see you all. Thank you so much, Teacher Tamara, for
Thank
coming on my
you.
little show.
I loved it. I'm so honored.
Yay!
Thank
And for
you.
everyone else, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.